Finally, Superman is out. I'm talking spoilers. I'm not waiting. I've been excited about this movie leading up to it coming out. The closer it came, the more excited I got. Now, this definitely isn't going to be a scene by scene breakdown, but mainly just talking about the most important stuff, the most memorable stuff. Now, like I said with David Cornsweet, I think this guy is fantastic as Clark Kent, Kal-El, Superman, all the above. All those Superman roles, he is fantastic as it. He might be my favorite interpretation of Superman. I don't fully know yet. I gotta have some time for it to sit in here and kind of thinking about the nerdy stuff. Now, I loved Lois and Clark's chemistry together in this. I thought they were super cute together. You could see the love there. You could see the connection. I feel like I could look at those two people and be like, yeah, they're on the same level of attractiveness. I could see them together. And earlier on, Clark says, I love you. Lois doesn't say it till way later on at the end. But it was cute. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. So we see Lex and his little crew break into the Fortress of Solitude and go into the Krypton computer and take the message that Kal-El's parents left for him and manipulate it to make it look like that they sent Kal to Earth to rule over them. Remind you, not the message they sent. So Lex leaks this to the public and people become resentful towards Superman. But before all that drama, we get a distraction fight scene where Lex's little gang releases this gremlin-looking thing, becomes a kaiju, becomes a monster, becomes a giant. Pretty fun fight between the Justice Gang and Superman and this gremlin-looking You know what it reminded me of? The creature goblin thing from Spiderwick Chronicles. That's what it reminded me of. And in that fight, we see some moments of heroism from Superman. And in this chaos, Lex being at the fortress, he evilly enough takes Krypto. You can tug on Superman's cape all you want, but when you mess with his dog, that's when it gets real. That's when he goes John Wick mode. And Lex leaking info to the public, making Superman look bad. Who do we see on a talk show? John Cena as Peacemaker. That was a wonderful surprise. I loved seeing that. My theater and I, we went nuts for that. We all just were like, oh, look at that! Might have been 10 seconds, but that was the best 10 seconds of my life.
That's what she said!
Superman noticing that Krypto's gone. Where's Krypto at? Goes to Lex's building, just crashes through, and just goes up to him like, hey, where's my dog? And Lex is just playing dumb. And him realizing this, he's like, I know this is not going to go well for me. I'm going to give myself over since these guys want me. But, come to find out, Lex has been preparing for this. He sets up this little tunnel-looking tube thing where you think it's kind of like an incubator and it will trap Superman, it will just kind of keep him contained, maybe depower him. No, this guy's been prepared. He's got a whole depowering, imprisonment. He's got everything prepared for this guy. And somehow, some magical way, create a pocket dimension. Which, how do you do that? I feel like that's gotta take a while. That doesn't just take an afternoon. You don't just cook that up in a day. And in this little cube, imprisonment, cell, whatever you want to call it, Clark is stuck there with Elemental Man of all people. I was not expecting him at all. That was a surprise right there. I don't know if he was in any trailers or anything. I didn't see anything. I try to have a rule for myself where the first trailer I watch and that is it. I don't want any more than that. I want to be surprised going in, and that was a welcome surprise right there. That was a deep dive right there. Which Lex tells Elemental Man to make his hand into kryptonite, and he really has no choice but to do it. Which we find out a couple scenes later why. And he's holding Elemental Man's son captive. And moments before, Clark is weak because of kryptonite. Elemental Man is being forced against his will to do something that he doesn't want to do. Lex is trying to get info out of Superman where he doesn't really have info to give. And he takes hostage this one guy that interacted with Superman like one time ever, playing Russian roulette with the guy's life. He just offs another guy's life with no remorse, no sympathy to it, Elemental Man and Superman are just heartbroken over this. They just witness a guy die right in front of them. You see the body drop. My theater went into like an audible shock of silence. Lex just says, hey, you don't keep your hand kryptonite. Well, your son's dead too. That was the moment it really solidified to me that Lex Luthor is a villain. This guy's an unredeemable monster. And these two are thinking, alright, like, how do we get out of here? There's no way for Superman to heal. There's no sun. Oh, there's no sun. You can make elements. Hydrogen is an element. Hydrogen comes from the sun. That's actually genius. Oh, with this new energy, they break out of there. They get his kin, and they get on out of there. And we get a pretty awesome chase scene where Elemental Man, Superman, Mr. Terrific, Lois, and Krypto are all in this pocket dimension, and they're all trying to get out of there, and Lex's soldiers are trying to hold him back from doing it. You know what I really noticed about this scene was, even in moments where it looked like Superman was going to die, he was drowning in what looked like lava, but like a different color. I couldn't really tell what the liquid was, but it was something hurtful. He was holding the baby up. He was making sure that kid wouldn't get hurt. That's a good man right there. It felt like an old action cartoon chase scene where it's like they're going down a river of like flowing water, and at the end of the river is a waterfall that just drops down like 1,000,000 feet. But no, not this time. It's not like a waterfall, it's a black hole, which, you know, tiny bit worse. They all escape the pocket dimension, and Lex is pissed about that. Lois actually brings Clark to his parents for comfort and rest. And like I said, the parents aren't in it much, but when they are, they're very just nice parental figures. Just warm people to be around. Had such a nice, warm, welcoming vibe to them. And after Clark wakes up, we get a nice father-son heart-to-heart talk. And I thought at some point the dad was going to die, but that proved me wrong, which I was honestly very surprised it didn't happen, because I was kind of expecting it to. So that leads us into the final fight of Superman, the Temu Justice League, against Lex and his little gang of goons. Land in a baseball field where Ultraman and Engineer are just 2v1ing Superman because they took out Mr. Terrific. Gonna suffocate him with nanites, putting them in his lungs. So what's Clark's solution to this? Fly up into space and just launch yourself down with the two of these guys and just obliterate them. Which we get the reveal of Ultraman. The mask comes off and it's Superman's face. Kind of expected, but at the same time I was kind of surprised. Like, alright, that's interesting, that's cool, that's different. There was part of me that wanted it to be Bizarro, but I just knew it wasn't going to be. Maybe later, maybe another future project, but we'll see. But Lex explains that it's a clone. Apparently a strand of Superman's hair dropped somewhere, and he took it and cloned Superman. Okay, that's pretty cool. Which Lex also explains that's how he got into the Fortress of Solitude. Okay, that's actually pretty smart. That makes a lot of sense. Now, it turns out a Luthor Corps employee is getting pretty hot and heavy with Jimmy Olsen. And Jimmy Olsen, he just doesn't want to seem to have it for some reason, even though she's pretty cute, to be honest. She's being clingy as hell. She's sending a bunch of selfies. And actually, if you look in the background of the selfies, they're actually helping the Daily Planet by revealing Lex's info. Could not place my finger on who she reminded me of last night when I saw the movie, but I finally thought about it a few minutes ago. You know who she reminded me of? Madison from She-Hulk. That's who she really gave me the same vibe of. Lex's info gets leaked to the public. He gets arrested. Come on, he'll be back. It's not like the guy gets arrested and he's never gonna be seen again. He's definitely gonna be seen again. Which Superman goes back to Fortress of Solitude to heal up. We had a nice little moment of humanity, ironically enough, between an alien and a robot, which Krypto's revealed to be Superman's cousin. Supergirl, she's here. He's revealed to be her dog, and she comes in and doesn't make a fantastic impression. I kind of wish it was a little bit of a better first impression, but whatever. I'm excited to see Supergirl on screen. I believe we're getting a Supergirl movie next year, which for a solid second when she was on screen, I was like, wait, Is that Sydney Sweeney? But no, that's not. It's apparently someone else named Millie Alcock. I'm not sure who that is, but I'll get more familiar with her next year. But I'm sorry. This will always be Supergirl to me. So, we end off with Superman being reminded memories of his Earth parents, Mom, Pa Kent, and a smile, fade to white, credits, and myself in our theater applauding. That was a great Superman movie. Thank you. Finally, is it really that hard to make a good Superman movie? What a great start to a DC universe, a DC cinematic universe. Hopefully a more cohesive, a more planned out one than what the last one was. This actually seems like a great start to this, a great starting point, and just great stuff to come. And shout out to James Gunn for making a Superman movie that was just full of heart, great action, a great soundtrack. I'll give it that. The score was amazing. And I might as well talk about the post-credit scenes because they are not long enough to talk about in a separate video. So the mid-credit scene is just Superman and Krypto sitting on what looks like the moon and just looking off to Earth, and Krypto gives him a cute little hug. It's cute, but there's nothing really to it. Krypto was cute throughout. And the post-credit scene is just Superman and Mr. Terrific looking at a building that happened to collapse in their final battle, and you can see like a crack in it, and it's uneven. It kind of just like swirls, and they just kind of say like, "Oh, that's not going to be easily repairable," and Mr. Terrific walks off all offended, and Superman just saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you." That was nothing. That was a nothing scene. That could have been included in the movie itself and would not have changed anything. It doesn't add anything to a post-credit scene. I really couldn't tell. Like, was it supposed to be funny? Was it supposed to add something to it? Really didn't add anything. It didn't need to be there at all. I audibly said after it ended, I was like, wow, that was not worth the wait. But other than tiny nitpicks and stuff like that, I thought this was a really good movie. A great start to a new DC universe. What did you think about it? Leave it in the comments, and let me know what you think. Stay safe, stay sexy, stay super.